We're here today as part of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey induction of 7 new members into their Hall of Fame. They are Ben Arguin from original Berlin Maroons fame, Richard Dick Boucher of Manchester, who is also former Berlin Maroons fame, connected to the Alpine Club of Manchester and the Manchester Blackhawk organization. Alphonse Corvo, who is passed away, who is one of the strong founding members of the Manchester Youth Hockey Association, which provided equal playing time for kids involved in the program. Carl Langley is a former strong, outstanding defenseman for the Berlin Maroons and the Manchester Blackhawks. Ken McKinnon, who is known to a variety of people as one of the nicer people around, who was the first Canadian recruited to the University of New Hampshire in 1958 and served as captain, played 4 years, and has been an outstanding Division I official in the ECAC, now retired. Richard Dickey Roy, who was one of the stronger defensemen ever to play for the Berlin Maroons, played 14 years, and and was participant on 2 New England Senior Amateur Hockey Association titles. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, Elmo Terrio, who also has passed away, who is a one-time member of the Berlin Maroons, who was an outstanding defenseman, and all of these people are great human beings. So we will be bringing you clips or interviews with several of these people. One of the guests today, the invited speaker, is none other than Dick Umili, and it's just a basic celebration of hockey in New Hampshire. So I hope you enjoy this telecast. Thank you. We're here with Jeff Eisenberg, the president of the Manchester Monarchs. Jeff, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Mr. Eisenberg and the Manchester Monarchs are probably one of the single best thing that's happened to the city of Manchester. And can you explain how you got involved with this particular event?
Well, when we first came here in the fall of 2000, actually, we were just getting ready to start the hockey team. There was a Franco-American Center in town. I said, well, it's a hockey team in Manchester. I better get over there and meet these people. That seems like a logical thing to do. And I met Francois Solis, who was at the time the executive director there. Dickie Boucher was involved. And we were having lunch, and we were just talking about hockey in the general area. And I was trying to learn about the area. And we kind of all sat there and went, hey, there's a lot of heritage around here in the state, and we should maybe think about starting a Hall of Fame. And the ideas just took off from there, and here we are 4 years later, and it's a thriving organization.
Well, I think not only is this a thriving organization, but obviously the Manchester Monarchs have become a real product here. I mean, everybody loves it. The games are sold out. Did you imagine that this could take off to the level that it has?
When we came, we had no idea that it would be quite this successful. We figured it was a pretty good market. The models I put together for the Los Angeles Kings, who own the club, early on projected an average of approximately 6,500 a game, and here we are doing 9. So it's way exceeded our expectations. But I don't know that we knew what a fertile hockey market this was when we came. It's been a big success.
I think it's a partnership that's really worked for you. You've been a great neighbor. You've been an excellent for youth hockey. You've been helping in every way, advertising, charity events, and I don't think you really have gotten the full recognition that you people deserve for really helping a town pick itself up.
I don't need any recognition. 9,000 per game is great recognition, but
I'm saying that sometimes it goes by people that without the Monarchs, what would you have at this point in time? We just talked to Dick Umili briefly in the UNH Dartmouth game. That was nowhere near the event that it's become because of the building and because of the support of the Monarchs as a group. So,
well, the building really is outstanding. We had all these ingredients, the heritage of hockey here, the great media coverage, a beautiful building, well run by Tim Beckert and his group at SMG. We have a great partnership with them. It was just the whole building and the team came at the right time, and we couldn't be happier and more pleased to be here.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
Thanks, Dan.
here at the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey dinner with two representatives of the New Hampshire distributors who helped to sponsor this event. Tom Brown on my right and Tom Payshot on my left. Why don't you, Tom, give us your background as to how you got involved in this?
Well, this is our second year of sponsoring the dinner, and actually it was through Jim Hayes, our longtime associate, and of course his dad was the founder of New Hampshire Distributors, and we've had a long interest and a long history with hockey, and we used to sponsor the Concord Budmen, which was the follow-up of the Eastern Olympics in Concord. We've all, several of us, Tom will certainly get into what he's done, but we've played youth hockey, played high school hockey. Some of us were fortunate enough to go on to college hockey, but have always had an interest in the sport. So it just was kind of a natural, and when Jimmy came to us with this idea, it just seemed like a great thing to do, and the rest of the distributors in the state have jumped on board with us too. So it's not just us, but it's the others as well.
It would seem that it's a nice combination, Budweiser and hockey, right? How do you, as a former player, and you've been with New Hampshire distributors for quite some time, this is a nice event for you guys and for to be able to chip in to help this out, right?
Definitely, I think it's a great tie-in. As many of the speakers said tonight, New Hampshire's a hotbed for hockey, and the tradition runs long and deep from way back. And it's great for us to be a part of it as sponsors, as former players, and as local businessmen, to see our friends and colleagues and people we skated with and against getting inducted and elected and participating in this great event.
Well, I certainly want to take the opportunity that this type of an event with the first-class nature of how they've done it is not doable without people like yourselves that contribute, a lion's share of getting this thing off the ground.
Well, we thank you very much. Certainly we might do something monetarily, but really the hard work is with the board and the trustees and all the work that they've done, putting this thing together. It just certainly was not a stone unturned. It was a great event and continues to be year after year.
Any closing thoughts?
Well, I think it's great that they've honored UNH this year, and I'm looking forward to next year when they honor St. Paul School on the 150th anniversary of the school. And actually, where organized hockey started in the United States here in Concord, New Hampshire at St. Paul School.
Thank you both. It's been an exceptional time, and look forward to doing it again in the future with your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're here with the guest speaker of the day, none other than Mr. Dick Umili, Coach Dick Umili from the University of New Hampshire. Thank you for coming on.
No, it's always a pleasure. Anytime that you go to an event that's involved with hockey and see a lot of people that you haven't seen, and it's just great to be here and be a part of this.
Now, let's talk UNH hockey, because I think that's what you do best. Where do you feel your team is at? Because it looks like you're on the rise at the right time of the year.
Well, I think obviously we had a pretty good regular season. Disappointing loss last night. We were fighting for the championship, the regular season championship, and ended up tying with Boston University. Had an opportunity to win it outright. Had an opportunity to possibly share it with Boston College. But more importantly, the teams had a pretty good regular season. Now we head into the Hockey East playoffs. We're going to play Northeastern University. Another former UNH guys coaching that, Bruce Crowder. Right. So, we're playing pretty good hockey. We're disappointed our last 2 weekends. A couple of losses there on Saturday nights, but to Boston College and Boston University. But we're playing well and overall, and we go into the tournament.
That's where it all starts.
Yeah, it all starts there. It's the first round, and the goal is to get to the Fleet Center so we can compete for the Hockey East playoff championships.
Now, it's funny, but UNH players seem to move on to UNH coaches in this general area. But maybe you can tell us how you got to where you became the coach at UNH.
Well, it was,
that's an interesting situation.
Yeah, well, after graduating, playing for Coach Holt, who was a hometown guy, Melrose guy, I always wanted to get into coaching, and I coached high school hockey for 13 years. Had an opportunity to get into college coaching with another UNH guy, Mike McShane, who was the head coach at Mike McShane, who's a tremendous college coach at Norwich now. He asked me to come with him to Providence College. I went to Providence College, and after 3 years there, I came back with Bobby Cullen here at UNH, and You know, I've been blessed to have the opportunity to coach at UNH with a lot of great players, and
Your team is a reflection of you.
well, that's a compliment. Thank you. You know, I played for a great guy in Coach Charlie Holt, and we've got great tradition of the UNH hockey. To being honored here today with the inductions into the legends, New Hampshire
Now, this
legends.
doesn't hurt UNH hockey at all, correct? I mean, having this type of thing, because there's already been some former UNH players inducted, and, you know, what do you think of that?
Well, I think it's great. I think it's great that the state of New Hampshire and you know, UNH hockey and hockey in the state of New Hampshire are synonymous. You know, Kenny McKinnon's being inducted in tonight, and you know, we usually have one of our guys, former guys, inducted every year, and it's just whether you're a coach or a player, and it's just special being a part of it.
Well, how about when you have a situation where UNH plays Dartmouth and you can't get a ticket?
Well, that's becoming
How's
a
that?
major event right now. You know, we started that a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. You know, we can go to the Verizon Center with the Monarchs and the Verizon Center. That's just brought it to another level. Now we take the 2 Division I programs, Dartmouth and UNH, to the Verizon. It's a sellout.
up there,
It's an event now in Manchester. It's an event for hockey in the state of New Hampshire. So that's a good thing.
Well, with all due respect, Dick, you've been a major reason bringing that UNH team to the levels that you've been at, to making hockey a success in New Hampshire. So thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me, and hopefully we'll have a great day today.
All right, Dick.
Thank you.
So our featured speaker here to talk UNH hockey and sing the new fight song, Dick Umili.
Thank you, Jamie. Hopefully I'm going to get away with not being, Jeff, you should have been the featured speaker. I don't have much of a voice. I know there's a few officials in the audience here, but I've had a tough couple of weeks with officials, and as well as the game. But the reason I'm 200 yards away, you lose, that's where you go. Pretty soon I'll be in the kitchen. Jesus Christ. I thought I'd be right up front, but first, let me say thank you very much for inviting me here to say a few words, and I want to congratulate the board with the New Hampshire Legends for putting this all together, and I know Chris was up here, Chris and Tom, with you know, the support. They sponsor everybody, New Hampshire distributors, and they've been great with the Friends of UNH Hockey, and thank them for all they do, and especially today. And the hockey in New Hampshire, as we all know, is very, very healthy. Jeff, I can't say, you know, what's being said about you when you came to UNH, and obviously being an hour away over in the seacoast. You know, we never felt it was a threat, but having the Monarchs in the state of New Hampshire and what you've done, being the #1 team in the American League with attendance and enthusiasm, the All-Star game was tremendous. And a big credit goes to you and the Verizon Center, and being at UNH and having the opportunity to go over there and play a couple times during the season and the regionals. It's great to have you all there, and we appreciate everything you do for hockey in UNH, and he's been tremendous. So I will help. If I can do anything with the contract, give me a call. I have my own difficulties, so I'll help you out. To the inductees, more importantly, congratulations to all of you. You know, maybe they should. I'm sure it was talked about the Manchester Maroons. I mean, you know, the Berlin Maroons. I mean, I go way back with the Berlin Maroons. You know, Melrose used to go up there a lot and play, and we had some pretty good hockey teams back where I was brought up in Melrose, and to go up and play in Berlin was pretty special. I went to, after graduating from high school, played a new prep, and a good friend of mine, and I know some of the people here, Roger Letourneau, who played in Berlin, became a good friend. I just brought him to my parents' house one Sunday for some spaghetti and meatballs, and we couldn't get rid of him after that. So, so I knew an awful lot about Berlin. We took our seniors up there this fall to kind of go back because they were so involved with UNH hockey, and we had a great time with the seniors in the youth program up in Berlin. And I hadn't been back to that arena in a long time, and it was nice to see some people that I knew from the earlier days, and having the opportunity to play with several players that played at the University of New Hampshire. I think what I'm most proud of anytime that I travel with the University of New Hampshire and is the hockey. We're synonymous throughout the country, the state of New Hampshire, and I should say that Mayor Baines, I really appreciate everything you've done with Manchester. It's we're pretty special there. All of the things that are going on in the city, it's tremendous. And I know when I travel across the country, the state of New Hampshire and Manchester is pretty important, is known nationally, and it's a credit to your leadership in the state. So congratulations to you. Hockey, it's been a big part of my life, obviously, but as I said, when I travel, and you can say we're from New Hampshire and hockey, and people know us because of hockey, and that takes nothing away from all of the other accomplishments in this state, but we're proud at UNH, and today, the fact that the Monarchs are going to wear a replica jersey. I've seen the jersey. It is tremendous. I know I'm getting old, Jeff, but 56 is kind of pushing it. So, but we one game. I think it was. I can't even remember the year back early in Snavely Arena where we wore some replica jerseys, and I think the jersey that you have is pretty similar that the Monarchs are going to wear today. And make sure you tell Jeff I said hello. We tried to get him to come to UNH, and he's not only a tremendous hockey player, but he's a great person from a great family. And we thank you for wearing those replica jerseys today with the Monarchs, and wish you nothing but the best. I'm not going to talk long here today because I'm starting to lose it already with the voice. But thank you for having us here today. The Friends of UNH Hockey that have done an awful lot for my program. I'm sitting with at the table, and we thank the legends for everything that you do for hockey in the state of New Hampshire. And especially, this is all about the inductees and their families and everybody that's made a commitment to hockey here in the state. And I think it's just tremendous that the people that have done so much in the state of New Hampshire for hockey are being recognized. And I, on behalf of the University of New Hampshire and our hockey program, thank you for honoring UNH hockey, and obviously for inducting the inductees here today, and wish everybody continue good health and success, and good luck to the Monarchs today. And at this point, Jamie, I'm going to turn it back to you. Father Marchant, a few novenas this week will help us, and I think I'm going to bring you in the locker room because it's always great to see you and appreciate everything that you've done. Thank you, everybody.
We're here now with another inductee and a friend and former officiating associate, Mr. Ben Arguin.
Nice, good to be here.
Mr. Ben Arguin, okay, was like a lion tamer at the circus at one time. The first time I ever laid eyes on Benny Arguin, he was doing a Berlin Maroons and Manchester Blackhawks game.
Did a few of those.
Yeah, and the penalty boxes somewhat got filled. And
yes, very much. That was very common. Yeah.
Benny had the only cool sense about him in the entire ice surface.
Yeah, right.
But
All the other guys didn't want to play hockey.
But you loved it, right?
Oh yes, oh yeah.
It
Well,
didn't get any better.
No, that's right.
And you were a player in your own right.
Yeah, yeah.
Division I, Division III, Division II ice hockey official. You have been around hockey for how many years? I mean, all told.
All told, since I'd say 30 years.
30 years. And you've always distinguished yourself as a gentleman, always distinguished yourself as a real guy interested in hockey and not Benny Arguin.
That's right.
And that's a tribute.
Hockey first.
So what does this mean to you, Ben, to get to this point?
Well, actually, the way the things are rolling this week there, it's very, very nice, okay? And it's all, call it the way they are, and no matter who's playing, Yeah.
Big honor, Benny.
Thank you.
Big honor and truly well-deserved.
Thank you.
You very much for coming on with us.
Thank you.
See how easy this was?
Oh, yeah.
So we begin with a guy that was born in Berlin, one of 5 of the inductees with major Berlin ties. Been captained the Notre Dame hockey team, and won 2 state championships when he was at Notre Dame. He played for the legendary Maroons, and in 1954 won the Senior Amateur Hockey Association's national championship. For several years, he was with the U.S. Army during the Korean War, and later in life officiated at all levels of hockey, Division I, Division III college, and was instrumental in starting the ice hockey program at Winnicott High School, and also became president of the New Hampshire Ice Hockey Officials Association. Our first inductee in the class of 2005, Bernard Arguin.
It's an honor. Wait, well, here. It's an honor for me to be here. And I never dreamed of being honored this way. So I want to thank. Good. I got a little laryngitis.
This mic right here. You want to get right close to it.
No, okay. I want to thank the Board of Directors and the Monarchs for the opportunity to be part of this induction ceremony. Hockey has been a big part of my life. Ever since I started skating at the age of 9, and that was from a pair of skates that I bought from my aunt. But from then on, that's all I wanted to do was skate. You good?
You gotta get right on top of the mic. Okay?
Okay, Jamie. I thought I was. Where is it? Okay, all right. That's all. That's all for that. The best part of my skating actually that I found was that I was lucky enough to have an ice rink just a block from my house. So I was there every night. I'd like to introduce my family, and it's seated there first. My wonderful wife of 52 years, Peg. And we have my my daughter Audrey, and her husband Mac, and they're from Chesapeake, Virginia. And another daughter, Audrey. I mean, that's just the last one. The other daughter is Amy, and her husband Jim. Yeah, they have two young granddaughters. I've got two down. And the girls, are they? Girls, whoop, you stand up. Good. Come on in. And I wanted to tell Coach Emil that you got two big fans right there. UNH is all they think about. They don't miss very many games either. I also want to introduce my brother, Armin, his wife Doris, and their children. Armin? And daughters Giselle. Pauline. I forget one. And Paul and his wife, Nikki. Get up, Nick. And I want to thank all the people that actually have been supportive to me all the time. That I did sport between hockey and promoting hockey and officiating. I hope you don't think I'm nervous here. Okay. Okay. Also, I have a friend, a longtime friend, I've called him. It's Omar Moran and his wife Cecile. And I'd like to quote this as just a little thing that when we were playing hockey, Jock McKenzie, I'm sure that 95% of you people know him. Every time he'd close this show, he'd say, "You can't play a sport, be one. And smile when you win, but don't forget to grin when you lose." Thank you all, and God bless.
Good job. Good job. We're gonna.
Another inductee for today's Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame is Mr. Dick Boucher, who has been one of the more instrumental people in reviving an interest in hockey in the state of New Hampshire, and who has always been interested in hockey in the state of New Hampshire. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this.
Mr. Boucher was involved with the Berlin Maroons as a player, correct? And then moved to Manchester.
1961.
And then was instrumental in the formation or the moving forward with the Alpine Club, which became a...
The precursor of the Manchester Blackhawks.
In fact, some people might have called them a terrorist organization.
Probably did, you know. We did all kinds of stuff.
But no, I think that this celebration today, you are a big part of that as far as making hockey, people aware of hockey in New Hampshire. How did you really get involved in this production?
You know, it's kind of interesting, but I always say this is Jeff Eisenberg's brainchild. And by chance meeting, we had lunch one day, and he kind of really laid out what he wanted. Jeff's a visionary. And what he wanted to do, what he wanted to accomplish, and two things that came out of that meeting was that, the luncheon meeting, was that number one, he wanted to recognize the pioneers of hockey in the state. And then he wanted to set up a Hall of Fame. And I said, well, the first one can be very easy, but the second one, that might be a little tougher challenge. Well, he says, think about it, and I did, and we got back together, and I said, you know what, we're going to do this, and that's how it evolved. I called a lot of hockey people in the state. You see Dick Miller here, and I called some of the people that I'd known over the years, and everyone said, and most of them serve on the board, it's about time we do something like this, and it evolved, and this is our fourth year, and you can see from the crowd, it's taken on a life of its own.
Well, I think you're fairly humble. I think that it's very hard to do the nuts and bolts work behind the scenes to bring all of this together, and it's a credit to you. It's a credit to the organization, and I am truly. I think everybody is agreed that you are one of the most deserving people to be an inductee in the Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you very much. I certainly appreciate that.
All right, Richard. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Now we move on. I'll tell you, this next guy, I would bet my house that he sleeps in pajama pants with hockey players on him. Because he absolutely loves this game, and he certainly could play it. Born in Berlin, New Hampshire, played wing on the Notre Dame varsity teams for 3 seasons and won 3 state championships, and he was a huge reason why. And then he went on to proudly wear the Berlin Maroons jersey, and he played wing on the team that won the Senior Amateur Hockey Association's U.S. National Championship. In fact, he was a teammate of Ben Arguin when they did that. Went on to play for the Concord Shamrocks and the Alpine Hockey Club. Later organized and was the team business manager for the Blackhawks in Manchester. Was named honorable mention on the All New Hampshire Millennium team, which was so prestigious. and is now the chairman of our board of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. He breathes and sleeps and loves hockey more than anyone I have ever met. He is a true legend for our state, and we are proud to welcome in Dick Boucher, Richard Boucher, into the Legends of Hockey. Mike on the left, okay?
On the left. Okay, thank you. There we go. Thank you, Jamie. That's a tough introduction here. If Ben was nervous, I think I'm just a little nervous. But anyway, this is our fourth induction ceremony, and I'm so very honored and really humbled and overwhelmed by this great honor. I really would like to stick to the script because I was told that I got 2 minutes and that's it. But I do want to thank everybody that took time from their busy schedule to come and help us celebrate this great game of hockey. You know, I'm going to steal a little bit of Jeff Eisenberg's comment at the American Hockey League All-Star Banquet when he got up and said a few words welcoming the people from all over the country, people that didn't know Manchester existed, let alone Berlin. And in his dissertation, he mentioned that the ground rules, not the ground rules, but what was set up, what we now see, with the Monarchs, and believe me, it's a treat to watch these guys play, that the stage was set many, many years ago, and he happened to mention the Berlin Maroons, which I have ties with, and also the Manchester Blackhawks, again, a team that I had ties with, and I was very honored to hear that. He could also have mentioned the Sacred Heart team of Concord, the Budman, the Concord East Olympics, Laconia, Nashua. This small state, but it's got a very, very, very rich history. And so if we are experiencing, or at least part of, the great success of this sport in this state at this time, it's really thanks to those guys that came before us. We happened to come along when we played indoors in an unheated arena, natural ice. Those people that came before us played outside. I remember playing outside. I also remember wearing Sears and Roebuck's catalogs for shin guards, held with a strap. We didn't have any money, so that's the way it was. And it was cold out there, but we didn't mind it. We didn't know any better. And so we moved indoors in high school, and I got to tell you a little story about Berlin. Anybody that played the game up in Berlin, got it to high school level, the dream was to play for the Berlin Maroons. I mean, that was the dream. That to us, it was like the Montreal Canadiens for people that lived in Canada. And so for some of us that were lucky enough to have played with the Maroons, and particularly in my case, when I was a rookie, my first year, we went all the way to win the Nationals, New England Nationals, and I said, wow, no, this is pretty good. This is very good. And, I thought, well, maybe we can do this again next year. Well, let me tell you, it's hard to repeat sometimes. The previous have repeated, but we never did in Berlin. We did back, well, I was gone when they won in 74, was it? 67? And 68. I was gone by that time. And this is where it all started, for me anyway. And I talked to my mother the other day. She would have loved to have been on here today, but her health did not permit it. And so I asked her, I said, hey, Ma, how old was I when you put me on a pair of skates? She said, I was 4 years old. And I guess at that very early age, they found out that I had a kind of really a passion for this, the skating, the ice, the hockey, and all that good stuff. And so they encouraged me. And a little story about my dad. We lived in an apartment house, and I could skate forward. I could skate forward pretty good, and of course, being blessed with a lot of size and a lot of weight, as you can tell, there was only one way I could compete out there, and is if I had a good set of legs, and I was blessed with that. And my father had built me this little hockey rink, and the deal was that I'd get on the rink, but I'd skate backwards. And he'd watch in the window. And if he saw me skating forwards, he'd knock and he'd turn around. And so, it's that kind of early nurturing that really brought us to play for teams like Notre Dame High School, the Berlin Maroons. Came down to Manchester later, and Jimmy said I played for the Concord Shamrocks. I met Kenny, my friend Kenny McKinnon. That's how we hooked up. And the Alpine Club, which was the precursor of the Manchester Blackhawks. And of course, that's a story all by itself. We have a couple of inductees that are here today that played for that team in the time frame between 65 and 1965 and 1971. So, yeah, I guess I am passionate about this sport. I live, breathe, and I'm very fortunate to be able to do that. And so, before somebody says cut it, I'm gonna just go on and thank everybody. I got a large family contingent here today. I've got my mother-in-law that came, that has been here for 4 years now. I have uncles, aunts, brothers-in-law, sisters-in-laws, too many to name, nieces, nephews, friends, and I might miss a few here, but my brother, Gerard, and his wife, Joanne, they came in from Chicopee. My sister, Denise, and her husband, Danny, came in from Maine. And I thank them and all of you for helping me, and I haven't forgotten my family, helping me celebrate this great honor. And lastly, my daughter, Donna, her husband, Fred, and our grandson, John, thanks for being there. And last, but certainly not the least, my wife of 46 plus years, Joanne. Thank you. I'd like to share just one, as you go through this life and this journey, you meet a lot of great people. And the couple that I've had the opportunity to play against was back in 1960 when I was playing for the Maroons. We had scheduled a game against the United States Olympic team, and they were doing a tour of the United States. They played in Lewiston on a Saturday night, and they played us in Berlin on a Sunday afternoon. It was a cold day, like about maybe 20, 25 below zero in that arena, natural ice. And so coming from Berlin, we knew how to dress. We dressed in layers. And so we're skating on the ice at about the same time, and I'm skating on the ice with this Olympian, and I'm noticing that he's got a T-shirt and a shirt. And I said to him, I says, you're going to freeze. And he's, no. He said, we're going to skate, and we're going to warm up, and we're going to perspire. And got to tell you, skating, they just could not work up a sweat. So finally the coach blew the whistle and pulled the team back in the dressing room. And maybe about 10 minutes later, they came out with another layer, and they had taken an old stocking or a second stocking and made a French trick. On that team, and this is really the story, on that team was Herb Brooks. And if some of you people have seen the movie Miracle on Ice, well, Herb Brooks probably had maybe the inspiration back then to do what he did in 1980, because he was the last guy cut from that 1960 Olympic team that went on to beat the Russians in Squaw Valley. And like I said, if you've seen the movie Miracle on Ice, you know just how tough this guy was. And maybe he got that inspiration from, like I said, I'm repeating myself, from being cut from that team. And I just wanted to share this with you. And a lot of great memories, a lot of great stories. I could keep you here forever, but I'm not going to do that. So again, thank you for joining all of us in just one moment in time when this is where it's at. Thank you very much.
Hold on a second. One quick moment for Dick here. You mentioned you put your skates on when you were 4, and I know it was a dream ever since then to make it into the Hall of Fame before you turned 70. You made it. You made it by 10 hours.
I did.
Have you ever had 300 people sing happy birthday at one time for you?
No.
If we could all get to our feet, please, and sing Dick happy birthday 10 hours early. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dick. Happy birthday to you.
Right.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And many more.
We're here with John Corvo, who's representing his dad, Al Corvo, who was one of the inductees today. John, a legend in his own right, was a strong player at the University of New Hampshire, then went on to BU. Great ice hockey player. When I first started officiating, John was a lot smaller than he is today. And John, it's great that we could have you representing your dad.
Well, I thank you for having me here, and on behalf of my father being here. It's quite an honor for him, and he's certainly done quite a lot in hockey as well as other things.
People that don't know Al Corvo or didn't know Al Corvo, he was a first-class gentleman, fairly mild-mannered gentleman, not a me type of guy, and he was instrumental in the founding of something that has just taken off, the Greater Manchester Youth Hockey League, which you participated in.
Yes, I did. I was one of the first group of people that went through the Junior Hockey League program, and it was once a week back then on Saturday mornings only, and that's pretty much where it all started. And of course it has grown to something that you see today that's beyond what anybody would have imagined, so it's quite a thing. It's I'm just happy to be a part of it for my father here today, and I wish he was around, but unfortunately he passed away, so we hope that in his memory that he's looking in the sky somewhere for this.
Well, Al will never be forgotten, to be very honest with you, and that's why people know who Al Corvo was. This just helps to embellish an otherwise tremendous success story. So I want to thank you on behalf of the family for joining us, and certainly it's well deserved.
Well, I thank you very much for having me, and I appreciate it very much. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
We honor at Legends of Hockey not just former players, but as we saw last year with Dick Osborne, also announcers, and also people that fit into the category of builders that just played an instrumental part in building up the tradition of New Hampshire hockey. And I can't think of anyone that fits into that category better than our next inductee, the founder of the Manchester Youth Hockey League. He was also the owner of the Manchester Blackhawks and the Manchester Monarchs of the New England Hockey League. He founded that Manchester Youth League that has become one of the largest and most respected youth hockey programs in the country, the Manchester Youth Regional Hockey Association. He always insisted on equal time, ice time for his kids without any exceptions. He was way ahead of his time in that. He's one of these people, you hear that when you leave the world, you want to leave it a better place than when you came in. This guy did that about 1 million times over. Alphonse Corvo, and accepting for him, Josephine and Dave Corvo.
I'd like to introduce my mother, Josephine Corvo, who has been a wife of 52 years with Alphonse Corvo. And I'll turn the mic over to her. Thank you. The mic over here. Right here.
Well, I want to thank the New Hampshire Hockey Association for this great honor that was bestowed upon my husband, who loved hockey like nobody else, and he got involved into every single phase of it. It was his love. He loved it, and every part of it. And the family is very, very thankful for this honor, as we are all. And I just want to tell you about how the Monarchs got to be a hockey team. He and 3 other fellows decided to run a hockey team. It was Al Corvo and Dr. Fecto, who's no longer here either, and Harvey Clement. And they all worked so hard to keep the team going, and it was the foundation of the fabulous Manchester Monarchs. I just wanted you to know that. Thank you all for being here. It was overwhelming. I forgot the family.
I have some pretty hard shoes to fill here. Thank God my feet are a little bit bigger than my father's. In any event, I think a congratulations is in order to originally the Queen City Hockey League, now the Myra Hockey League, now celebrating its 40th year anniversary. This league has built the foundation, as many youth hockey leagues across the state has, as far as developing the players to come. In behalf of Al Corvo and our family, I'd like to take this opportunity to reflect the kind of man he was. Al was a self-made man who had a quiet demeanor, fair and compassionate, and dedicated. Some people may have mistaken his quiet demeanor as passive, but he was fiercely competitive. In upholding the great American sport of tradition, it was very important for Al to give everybody a fair chance to succeed. To deny success to someone who had merit was a crime. Al loved people. He led by words, by example, and actions. He inspired confidence in those around him. Although he appreciated and respected the many individual talents of others, he was more concerned about the team and the community.
That service.
As in many communities, there was some skepticism and doubt about building a new arena. Al would have been very proud of the courage displayed by the past and civic leaders and the Manchester Monarchs for all of the support. I know Al and our family would like to thank all of the great team members who played for Manchester Blackhawks and the original Manchester Monarchs team. For these players deserve a lot of credit for getting hockey off the ground in the city of Manchester. I am sure there are many similar success stories in each community in our great state of New Hampshire, as New Hampshire often competes and wins at a national level. This speaks highly of our hockey community and its fans. Al and his wife, Josephine, of 50 years, I said that already, I'm sorry, would like to thank the Master Sonomies, Jerry Staten and Dick Boucher, and the board of the Legends of Hockey for making this a special event. There are so many accomplishments whom he would have been so proud of. For it's everybody, particularly in the hockey community whose past and present and future contributions make this award so special. Al, by his true nature, would be uncomfortable with the word legend. As Al would say, the true legends are the special people in the New Hampshire hockey community. In closing, Al would say 2 words of what he thought of the hockey community: first class. Thank you. Okay.
We're here today with one of the inductees for the Legends of Hockey, and it's none other than Mr. Carl Langley. Carl, congratulations on being selected as an inductee to this group of people.
Well, thank you very much, Danny. It's quite an honor. I'm really humbled and very appreciative of the committee and my induction, and of course, Rod Blackburn, who put my name in nomination.
Rod Blackburn, a famous goalie at UNH for many years, and quite a player in his own right. Just so people understand, Carl is from Berlin, played for years for the Berlin Maroons, and then changed and played for the Manchester Blackhawks, where he was a fan favorite because of his mild play.
Thank you, Dan, for that comment, but one thing I can tell you very honestly, that wasn't an easy task. Simply facing the Berlin Maroons, as they're known as the Flying Frenchmen, and playing in Berlin, being the away team. So it sort of revived hockey, I thought, for at least 5 more years in the senior circuit. And again, I was privileged to join the Manchester Blackhawks in their first year in Manchester, and I played a portion of the second year. Then I decided that was enough.
Well, Carl was a fan favorite because Carl always came and played hard and competed, and nobody wanted to play as well as he could more than Carl Langley. And I believe that you were a real asset to the formation of the Blackhawks. I think that it provided exciting hockey. You brought a friend of yours down, or somebody you knew, Mr. Curly Morin, so they had 2 strong Berlin defensemen helping get the Manchester Blackhawks started.
Yeah.
Again, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Danny, for having me on.
Also a former official, I might add.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Dan.
And now we're going back to Berlin. We've made more round trips there, tell you. Hope we get gas mileage for this. All right, from 1955 to 1959, our next inductee starred for Notre Dame High School, very prominent in today's ceremony. They won 4 straight state championships, and in 1957, he was instrumental in the team winning the New England title there at Notre Dame. And of course, he went on and played a long career with the Berlin Maroons, and then went on to play for the Manchester Blackhawks, and then went up and played in the Quebec Provincial League. During the 67 and 68 seasons, he was player and coach of the Berlin Maroons, and they won the National Amateur Hockey Association Senior Tournament Championship, and later in life became an NHLOH official. We welcome in Carl Langley. Just the mic on the left.
Yeah, thank you. This first portion is unscripted, and I want to thank Ken for reminding me of this. As you well know, or have not known, 1969 was a dilemma as far as hockey in the city of Berlin. The arena collapsed, and fortunately, I was able to survive that episode along with my co-partner in refereeing, Oma Morin. So I'm very fortunate to be here for this occasion, and someone certainly was watching over me. Thank you for that kind intro, Jamie, and I want to thank everyone for being here today. First of all, I want to thank my former teammate, All-American Rod Blackburn, for putting my name in nomination to the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. And to the committee of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, I thank you for accepting and the votes needed for my induction. To Bonnie LaRoche, for his dedication to Notre Dame High School hockey and helping me make the transition from being a centerman to a defenseman in my senior year at Notre Dame. It changed my career somewhat because I did love to put the puck in the net. To Al Adams, for his unrelentless work and devotion to Berlin Maroons hockey over a span of, I would say, 30 years, along with the dedicated people that he had from the Berlin Athletic Boosters Club that supported Berlin Maroons hockey. They were very instrumental. To Claude Vaillancourt and Dick Bushy for giving me the opportunity to be a part of the Manchester Blackhawks in 1965 and a portion of 1966. I must admit, that was not an easy task. Being from Berlin, playing for Manchester, being in an away game in Berlin, and facing the Flying Frenchmen, what am I in for? But we survived. I gave Diddy a tough time once or twice, but we remained close friends. And I feel to this day that it sort of revived hockey at the senior level for at least an additional 6 to 7 years. And that included the towns, of course, of Berlin, Lewiston, Maine, Manchester, New Hampshire, and Concord, principally. A big thank you to my entire family that are here for joining me on this memorable occasion. Principally my soulmate Susan and her daughter Stacy, my daughter Lori and her husband Steve, along with Kayla and Sierra, their 2 daughters, my son Jay and his daughter Sarah, my sister Carol and her husband Jim, along with their 2 daughters, Kim and Lynn, with their 2 husbands, Lou and Jim, respectively. To my cousin Clem and his wife, Pat, whom I greatly admire and love. To my dear and close friends, Nelson and Mary Lapierre, Butch and Marilyn Muntz, and Frank Fats Coro and Gail Coro. And for a little hockey trivia, my friend Fats, for your information, scored the winning overtime goal for Berlin High School to capture the New England Hockey Schoolboy Tournament in Boston Garden in 1967. Fats, and finally, I want to congratulate my former teammates, Benny Arguin, Dick Roy, Dick Bushy, and to the families of the late Elmo Terrio, Dick, and Alphonse Corvo for their induction to the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. I thank you all.
Now we are blessed with one of the inductees today is a friend and former officiating partner, and I was always a second fiddle. To some people refer to him as the captain. He is Kenny McKinnon, the first Canadian to play for the University of New Hampshire. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. That was way back, Danny. I don't know if you were born then, but it was back in I was a class of 68, class of 62, but came to there in 1958, but we played freshman hockey. You couldn't play varsity until your sophomore year. So we played varsity hockey in, 60, 61, and 62.
Mr. McKinnon, okay, he and I spent a few long drives together, grabbing the wheel while he took his jacket off. Strange things like that, but no more of a gentleman exists than Kenny McKinnon. I believe that in my bones, and people used to think he was always running for governor because nobody disliked Kenny McKinnon.
Danny, you're flattering me, my friend. I appreciate the compliment.
But it's true, Kenny. I mean, this is the guy that a coach would yell at 1 minute, and the next minute he'd be, okay, Kenny, and the rest of us would just they'd be on us all night. So Kenny always had the flair of getting along, and you're instrumental in this whole organization, and it has to be somewhat gratifying to see these crowds coming out and the level of inductees that we've had.
Yeah, Dan, it's really, really gratifying, as you said. I just can't believe that this organization has grown. This is the 4th year for the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, and you're right. Quality people have been nominated to the take the honor to the board, and with the turnout, I mean, we started in the first year in the Puritan back room, and now we're here at the Wayfair. So I mean, it's night and day from the beginning to what we are today.
Now, just so everybody understands, Kenny was quite a hockey player in his own right, played through a lot of the senior leagues or senior amateur leagues, and was one of the top Division I hockey referees as well. And he's done everything well, done everything with class, and as I said, it's great to see you get this award because you deserve it.
Well, Danny, I'm just totally flattered. I mean, don't
tell me you're speechless.
No, I'm almost speechless, but I keep thinking you got the wrong Ken McKinnon. It can't really be me.
You think you died, right? That's what I'm
well, I don't know, but I tell you, no, this is a great honor for me, and I'm just flattered that this is happening because I love the game and I love everybody associated with the game. It's been my life in a sense, but to come to this pivotal point, it's huge for me.
Thank you, Kenny. Much success in the future as well.
Danny, thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
On that day, when the first Canadian ever came down to play UNH, the custom official must have been asleep at the wheel or something. I don't know what happened there, but we got it right once he was in because we tightened it down and never let him leave. The first Canadian ever recruited to play for the University of New Hampshire still holds the record with 6 goals in 1 game and was the UNH hockey captain his senior season. We see so many captains come in and we love them, like Jason Krog and Darren Hadar, but then they move on and we don't get to see much of them again. But this UNH captain is so special because he made New Hampshire his home and still plays here. And he went on to become the president of the Wildcats Athletic Council. He coached at Concord High School after graduation, founder and president of the Granite State Hockey League. He played forward for the Concord Shamrocks and the Coachmen in the Eastern Olympics, and then he played in the Eastern Hockey League, the Capital City Hockey League for 12 years. And if you're adding up the years here, we're getting on. However, he still competes in the Laconia Legends of Hockey League, and I bet you he's had a hat trick in the last month. He can tell us. And not only that, but after his playing, well, he's still playing, but in and amongst all that, he officiated, became an official, and did 9 high school state championships in New Hampshire, a couple of Division II national championships, ECAC tournaments, Beanpot tournaments, and I'm guessing he's the only official that Dick Umili would say that he loves, or even likes, perhaps. He's a member of the UNH Hall of Fame, the Capital City League Hall of Fame, the Lakes Region Legends Hall of Fame, and now we're bringing him into ours. Ken McKinnon, New Hampshire Legends of Hockey.
All I can say is you thought Benny Arguin was nervous. Well, I'm spreading down just like Jamie to get down low to make this mic so everybody can hear. But first of all, I'd like to thank the selection committee for making it possible for me to join my fellow inductees here today and also to join the current members of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. I really can't believe this is happening. I don't know, sometimes I could pinch yourself in the butt and say, yeah, is it really true? Because as some of you know, the 3 most difficult years of my life were 2nd grade. But I also want to thank so many of my friends that are here today in attendance. We got a lot of guys from the Legends up, and we play Sunday and Wednesday night up there, and I thank you boys for coming in to make a big team effort. And anyway, really am very, as he said, I'm very, very happy to be here. Let me just go back. There's a lot of stories that I could tell, and I know we've got to be out of here reasonably early to go and catch that game, but just let me tell you, when I first came down to Durham in 1958, I'd never seen the ocean before. I'd never seen a lobster, a steamed clam, a fried clam, or an onion ring. Obviously, in Toronto, Ontario, we don't get seafood is really a rarity there. But my parents and my brother drove me down. It took us 2 days to get to Durham. We got there on a rainy, drizzly Sunday night. First thing I did was call up Coach Pepper Martin, let him know I was here. Pepper came over. He took me to the alumni house, which was to be my residence for the next 4 years. We unpacked my things there, and then he took me to the bachelor rink. Well, much to my surprise, the bachelor rink was outdoors. In Canada, we have many, many rinks, and they all have roofs and covers, but what could I do? My parents had already gone to Dover to a motel, so I was there to stay. I didn't have any choice. Hang on one second. I don't want to read this all off to you, but anyway, no. So anyway, even without my glasses here, with all these birthdays, it's hard to say what's next. But at any rate, after when I came to UNH, I said in September there, I went back home on Christmas vacation. I was still junior age hockey-wise, so I played 4 games with my old junior team, and 2 of those 4 games were against a team called the Unionville Jets. And there was my old buddy Tommy Cavan. He and I played Pee-wee and Bantam and Midget together. So I told Tommy about my being at UNH and encouraged him to see if he'd come down, because while I was at the rink with Pepper, Pepper saw my dismay about the open ice. On top of the open ice, there was a sand base with several weeds growing prominently at center ice. But Pepper told me, he said, rest assured, he said, before you graduate, you're going to have a roof over this rink. So I told that to Tommy. Tommy believed me. He came down the next September. And the next year, we needed a goalie because our goaltender, Rod Blackburn, the first All-American, Black was going to be leaving school. And luckily, Tommy knew a fellow, Doug Dunning. So Dougie came down the next year. So in my senior year, we had 3 Canadians on the team. And the following year, Tommy knew Dude Thorne, got Dude to come down. And I talked Brad Houston, convinced him to come. So that was really the beginning of the Toronto connection as far as UNH hockey went. I met so many great people at UNH, both students, parents of students, faculty, advisors, administrators, and friends. I mean, it was the best 4 years I'd ever had in my life. My original plan was to go back to Toronto and become a teacher and coach, but the more I saw of New Hampshire, the more I liked the Granite State. So before I knew it, when graduation came, I had a teaching and coaching job at Concord High School. I only taught there 2 years. It was a short teaching career, but I immediately got involved with the Northern New England chapter of the National Ice Hockey Officials Association, which is where Benny was talking about, and Carl also. And teaching and coaching did not really permit me to referee many games. I probably did maybe 5, maybe 6 games both those 2 years teaching. But after teaching, I went to work for United Life National Insurance Company in Concord, and it permitted me to maybe expand my officiating duties from 35 to 40 games. I was very fortunate to have a man who Lou D'Alessandro already mentioned, Tom Hartman. Tommy was my boss, and Tommy's here in the audience with us tonight. But Tommy was such a great guy that he would let me make up any time I missed from refereeing to catch up on my work. So with that, I was able to work a lot more games, obviously. I'd been playing for the Eastern Olympics and the Concord Coachmen. We were being paid $25 a game for, $25 a weekend for 2 games. And I got, I guess it got me a jump. I jumped ahead a little bit. In 1966, I was recommended to go to become an official in the ECAC. And my first college assignment was at Dartmouth College, and they paid us $75 for the game. Well, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize if you're playing for the weekend, $25 for 2 games, to do 1 game at Dartmouth and get $75, obviously, I stopped playing hockey and I started to referee because I really loved the game, really enjoyed it. One of the things about officiating in college hockey today is the tremendous rivalries. I mean, let me just give you a couple examples. I was up at Cornell one time doing a game with Harvard and Cornell. Bill Cleary was coach of Harvard. And I don't know if you've ever been to a Harvard-Cornell game, but what happens is that when they introduce the Harvard players, all the Cornell fans, they're all reading the Wall Street Journal. And as soon as that's done, they introduce the Cornell players. So the fans yell, they cheer, they scream. At the end of the introductions, they roll their journals up from a big ball and throw them on the ice. Well, here's Bill Cleary. Hey, Kenny, delay a game. In about 2 seconds, all of a sudden, all these students around the ice with big black trash bags, they're throwing all the journals in the bag, and the ice is clean in no time. You're never going to give a delay a game for a tradition like that. Speaking about that same game, in the third period, what happens? They finish resurfacing the ice, and along comes some Cornell student. He's got a live chicken in a pillow slip. He comes onto the ice, he ties the chicken from the crossbar in the goal so the chicken's feet barely touch the ice. Well, what does a nervous chicken do? The next thing I know, I got the Harvard goalie coming at me. Hey, ref, there's a mess down my crease. Tell you another story. We'll go up to Middlebury this time. Actually, Middlebury is playing University of Vermont. Vermont is Division II at this point. They haven't moved up to Division I. And this is a playoff game. They told Jack Garrity, he and I were doing the game together, told us it was an 8 o'clock game on TV. We're supposed to be there an hour before the game, so we get there maybe 10 after 7. Is that okay, Pierre? So we can hear a lot of screaming going on from Gutterson Fieldhouse. Well, you know, we don't think anything of it. They told us an 8 o'clock game, so we go in to get dressed, and this Vermont doctor comes in. He says, hey, guys, he says, I think it's a 7:30 game. Oh, wait a minute. No, they told us 8 o'clock. So he goes to the rink. He comes back. He says, well, it's supposed to be a 7:30 game, but relax, the lights just went out in the place. So as soon as we finished dressing, we have to walk from from the field house into the rink. It was like you step on the threshold of a supermarket. Open up the door, and all of a sudden the lights came on. And then you wouldn't believe the yelling and the cheering, because what had been happening, while it was dark, all the Vermont fans were throwing eggs at the Middlebury players. So we put our skates on, and of course everybody says, how about new ice, ref? New ice, look at the ice. Well, they got the scrapers out, they cleaned up the eggshells, but behind the Middlebury goal, the ice was literally yellow. So we get the teams lined up to play the national anthem. This got to be sabotaged. Scratch. I think somebody took the needle out of the record player. So I look over at Jimmy Cross, the coach, and let's go face off. Faced off, great period, nothing, the end of one. Then some figure skater is going to come on and do a little skating. We go in the room there to rest and relax a little bit. She finishes her act. They can't get the Zamboni started. I mean, the ice is already beat up from the long warm-up, number one. So they went through two batteries. They finally got the Zamboni going. We start the second period. Again, nothing tie. We get down to the third period. Halfway through the third period, Vermont scores. 15 seconds later, Middlebury comes down. They score. Vermont, score. Middlebury score. Vermont back, 3-2. Middlebury go down, and they hit the goal post. At that point, we probably got 2 minutes left in the game. Some idiot, throws a glass fifth of maybe gin or something. They empty a bottle on the ice. Well, here you are trying to clean up white glass, white ice. I mean, it was the longest game I've ever refereed in my life. Going to another story, Mike McShane, former UNH hockey player, he's coaching up at New Hampton School. It's about 20 below zero. I'm not sure who they're playing. Somebody let the puck go, hit the goal post, the puck split in half. And I guarantee you, if you went to a druggist scale, put the two halves on that scale, it would bounce. I mean, it was, so we got some kids playing with half a puck over here, some kids playing for half a puck over there. Another thing with Mike McShane, when he got to coach Providence College, I was doing a game at Brown, with Providence. And this was a big game for Mike because at that time, Hockey East was Hockey East and ECAC was ECAC, so he got the big rivalry. And Mike wanted to win the game badly. What happens, Zamboni's resurfacing before the start of the game. All of a sudden there's a knock on our referee's door. There's a problem with Zamboni. Zamboni had finished the ice, stalled. The guy didn't shut the hot water off. We got probably a 6 or 8 foot strip, maybe by a foot wide, right down to the concrete. Mike McShane wants to set up traffic cones. He wants to play the game. So we got some snow out of the Zamboni. We packed it all over. We used, I think, every fire extinguisher in Meehan Auditorium to try and chill it down. The game's a TV game. We can't hold it up forever. So I said, okay, the test will be my linesman. If he can skate across without going through, we'll play. If he goes through, no game. Well, he went through, so. Unfortunately for Mike, he was already packing a W in his bag, but it didn't happen. There's some more stories I can tell you, but I think that, I don't want to overdo it here, so I just want to thank everybody for coming, thank my legends especially for their support today. I just want to say one more thing, that I've really been blessed with good health, and at 66 years old, my birthday, you can't sing to me, Jamie, but it was on Friday, same day as Charlie Morgan here, but no, we won't do that. But I just want to say that, as I said, I have been very fortunate to do that, be able to still be skating. But just in closing, I'd like to say that the hands of time are wound but once, and nobody knows at what hour or what day the hands will rest. So now is the only time you have, or live it with a will, for tomorrow the hands may be still. Thank you.
Good job. Great. Here with Dickie Roy, another Berlin connection in the Hall of Fame. And Dickie was a star, I would say star, for the Berlin Maroons, all right? Not an easy guy to deal with if he got irritated. Knew all the fouls and then became an official.
That's
right?
correct.
All right.
Those make the best ones.
Well, absolutely. You know what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
But Dickie, what does this mean to you personally to be in this group of athletes from hockey?
Oh, this is tremendous. I never expected to be, nominated this quick, and it's truly an honor and a privilege, and I am amongst a group of people that are truly outstanding. Hockey players and Father Logie. You go back to, the origination of hockey in Berlin, and it's tremendous. I mean, my family is overwhelmed. I mean,
well,
it's beyond expectations,
From somebody who watched you play and watched you officiate, you were always physically strong, but a gentleman.
Oh yeah.
You worked hard and did what you're supposed to do on a hockey rink.
What occurred on the ice was on the ice. Off ice, it's a different story.
And you are truly deserving of being one of the inductees, and I wish you well, and thank you for coming on with us.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Anytime. You're welcome.
All right, bye-bye.
We have another great Notre Dame high school player. He played 4 years on defense there and won 4 state championships. Then he went on to play 14 straight years as a tough defenseman for the Berlin Maroons, and he won a pair of New England championships, spread apart too, 1954 and 1967. He retired on top after that 67 title and went on to be a registered referee with the NHLOH, and he was also named to the All-New Hampshire Millennium Team, a huge honor there, and he is our 6th inductee today into the Legends of Hockey, Richard Roy.
Thank you, Jamie. Good afternoon, everyone. It is truly an honor and a privilege to stand here before you, having been inducted into the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. I am proud to be amongst some of the truly great people that have been honored over the past 4 years. I must give special thanks to certain people who have been instrumental during my career. First of all, the coaches I have had. At the grammar school level, the now Reverend Bishop Odor Gendron. At the high school level, the legendary Barney LaRoche. And at the senior level, with the Berlin Maroons, I had former inductees Leo Vaillancourt, Al Adams, and Omer Morin. Omer, not only being a coach, but a defensive partner of mine on the blue line for 8 of the 14 years I played with the Maroons. He is truly a great person and a trustworthy friend. Secondly, I must also say thanks to all the players I had the privilege to skate with throughout all those years, and to all the great fans of Berlin and throughout New England and Canada. A very special thanks to my immediate family, my mom and late dad, for all the great love and support they gave me at home and at the rink. To my children, Steve, Ellen, Lori, and their families, thank you very much for the dedication and sacrifices you made. I love you. Lastly, I want to say thanks to the Lord for having given me the talent to play the greatest game in the world, ice hockey. Thank you.
Final inductee came down from Canada, and wouldn't you know, he played for the Berlin Maroons. That's right, 11 years, except for a 3.5-year period when he served in the military during World War II. Said to have one of the best wrist shots in hockey, maybe the best in New Hampshire, and he used it in one of the most memorable goals in Maroons history when he scored with 1 second remaining, hit the back of the net to win the New England Amateur Hockey Association Championship in 1949. He was some kind of player. Elmo Terrio is no longer with us, but his son Dick is here to accept.
Boy, it sure looks different from up here. Dad would be very proud not only to be nominated to the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, but also to join those past nominees from the Berlin Maroons he enjoyed playing with for so many years. Elmo was a great hockey player. He gave... Dad? 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 What are you... You're up there? I didn't think they let hockey players up there. Rick. So you don't want me to say all these nice things about you? All right. Then if you don't want me to say these nice things, you probably don't want me to, I better not say this either. And I got one more here, but I think I better skip that one too. And yeah, I better forget this one too, Dad. But I'm glad to see you're up there, babe. Now, Elmo was a great hockey player. He gave 110% to the game. When looking at old newspaper articles about him, I don't remember my dad playing that much because I was a bit young when he retired. But when looking at old newspaper articles, there was always a mention about his famous wrist shot and the goals that he scored as a defenseman. Now, Dad never spoke much about his accomplishment. I learned more about his hockey deeds from neighbors and friends while growing up in Berlin. I don't know how many times I heard the following statement: "Your dad and Val Albert Val Albert was a teammate of my dad's. They played defense together. Your dad and Val Albert made quite a set of defensemen. Not many opponents wanted to tangle with them. Another statement that I heard all throughout my high school career. Your dad had one of the best wrist shots around and scored many goals with it. I was talking to Bonnie LaRoche some time ago, a past inductee, and he said something that really stuck with me that I'd never heard before. Now, as Jamie mentioned earlier, my dad did score the winning goal in overtime to win the 1949 championship. And I was talking to Bonnie, and he mentioned to me that he had scored many goals, but, well, this is what Bonnie had to say, and I'm going to say it in just if you know Bonnie, Bonnie would have said this in probably an hour and a half, but I'm going to say it in about 30 seconds. He said, Dick, he said, I scored many, many goals for the Berlin Maroons, but the one that people remember the most is the one that your father scored that won the 1949 championship. And here's how Bonnie described it to me. He said, Dick, he said, I had, well, he didn't say Dick, because in Berlin, it's Dickie. It's not Dick, Dickie. He said, here's how he said. He said, Dickie, he said, I had the puck, and I was going into the attacking zone, but I was forced in too deep. I couldn't get a shot. I really wanted to shoot, but I know I wouldn't have gone anywhere. So he said, I looked up, and I saw your father flying down the ice. He said, I just made the pass over there, and before you knew it, that puck hit the back of the net. The goalie never had a chance, and that was it. That was the championship. Now, also, Dad had a certain grin on his face. Those of you who don't know him would know this, but he had that, that shit-eating grin, you know? And he always had that little grin, and I often wonder if that was the last thing that an opponent saw when the opponent kissed the boards as a result of my father. My brother Ray and I are very proud of our dad's hockey accomplishments and the love of the sport that he passed on to us and his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren. We want to thank our family members who came down to share in this special day with us. We'd also like to express our gratitude to the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey and their board of directors for inducting our dad. And we thank you very much for that honor. Thank you. I'm not done.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
I'd like to say one more thing. If there's anyone out there, we are a young organization, New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. So if anybody wants to make a donation, we would gladly accept it. Thank you.
Okay. Got some stuff down there.
Thank you.
Well, we've had dinner, we've had speakers, and we've had generally a great time at another New Hampshire Legends of Hockey function. This was a celebration of UNH hockey this year, and it was very well done. In fact, leaving here, the Monarchs are going to be wearing commemorative UNH jerseys dating way back to the old days, and we certainly wish them success. Further, next year, it will be a celebration of St. Paul's School, which was, in fact, one of the earliest places recorded in hockey history where hockey was played as an organized sport. So it was a great time. It was well done. The people that were honored deserve to be honored, and we hope that you've enjoyed this telecast. Thank you very much.